Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. I've always considered Clive Palmer to be a bit of a novelty, a joke. Someone you could just talk about over a dinner with friends and have a chuckle at how bizarre the man is. And it wasn't until I saw a Sydney Morning Herald article on him, I began to realise how bizarre his political party really is. And so I'm going to read you actually most of this article because I find it fascinating that any political party could endeavour to seek the type of candidates that he sought. Now, when we talk about scraping the bottom of the barrel, in Clive Palmer's case, it almost seems that he's gone out of his way to do just that, to delve as deep into the pit of despair and human depravity that you can imagine by delving into that barrel that will produce probably the worst of the worst as candidates for his political party. So I've been wondering about what does that mean? Does it mean then that Clive just hasn't been able to find anybody else? If Senator Babbitt is an example of the type of people that he has been able to enlist and elect, in fact, apart from himself some years ago, then I guess we must wonder about his policies, what his intentions are, who he is, and why he's even spending the amount of money that he is. There's been some controversy over the fact that people, not myself, but my wife does for some bizarre reason, get a lot of text messages from Clive, which they just find harassing. And I think the government is planning to implement some legislation later on this year that will prohibit political parties from sending SMS messages in the way that Clive Palmer has. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish there because it's not working in this household, I can assure you. So in this particular article, it's called "The Prince, the Pauper, Perp and Other Patriots in the Trumpet." And you know why he called it Trumpet, why he named it why he named it what he did is way beyond me. I do not understand that one iota. But nevertheless, he did. So I guess we have to kind of learn to live with that notion and see what we can do with it. So this is what the Sydney Morning Herald has posted, which is interesting, and it's humorous, I think, to say the least. It took Clive Palmer just 4 weeks to assemble nearly 100 candidates to represent the Trumpet of Patriots party. Now, 4 weeks to get 100 candidates is a hell of an effort, and that's like you send out an invitation, you get the first 100 people that respond to it, yep, you're in. It's as simple as that. So it may have slipped the attention of the vetting team, if he had one at all, that is, that they include a convicted conman who was extradited from Canada in 2011 and spent 3 years in jail, a fake psychologist who calls himself professor, though he bought his qualification online, a man facing stalking charges, and at least 2 former bankrupts. Now, you can't be a member of one of the major parties if you are bankrupt. It's just not possible. They will exclude you for obvious reasons. However, in what must be considered a coup, they've managed to convince His Royal Highness Prince Todd Charles Jacques, a self-proclaimed direct descendant of Charlemagne, to fly the banner of the trumpet in New England, northern New South Wales. So he wishes to separate himself from the rest of the country and wishes to have his own little nation. Jacques is a security guard from Murrurundi, who told a tribunal in a failed compensation claim in 2020 that he spent most of his day watching television. Now, that's the sort of man that you want in Clive Palmer's party. The reason I'm running is because I want to step into my ancestral roots, he told the New England Times after drawing 6th place in the ballot that was held earlier this month. A better-known commoner, Barnaby Joyce, drew first spot on the ballot. Shakur was knocked back by the Registry of Births, Deaths and Marriages in a bid to change his first name to Prince in 2011, but maintains the subtitles Protector of the Faithful and Defender of the Kingdom, and will be hoping to add to them with the suffix MP. So clearly, it is, without dispute, is crazy. But the challenge he faces in running against Joyce is matched only by the monumental task set for his fellow trumpeter Michael Norman Jessup, who must topple opposition leader Peter Dutton, while simultaneously battling weapons and stalking charges. That's not Peter Dutton, that's this bloke, Michael Norman Jessup. Is facing weapons and stalking charges. The 70-year-old boat builder was arrested in July after police were called to reports of a man acting suspiciously outside a property in Bleakley in the Sunshine Coast. They allegedly found camouflage clothing, an axe, a shovel, duct tape, ropes, and cadaver bag in Jeff's vehicle. Now, the question has to be wondering what he was planning to do. What body did he plan to place within that bag? Jessup was charged, but said he would fight the charges. I'll stop at nothing short of a complete unconditional discharge, he told the ABC. I've got no criminal record of any kind. He was heading towards one, though, nevertheless, whatsoever in my whole life. I'm 70 years old. All right, I'm not about to start now. Major political parties run through checks on their candidates. We know that, and if they're facing criminal charges, they have a criminal record, they will be excluded, of course. Repeated attempts to contact the party's media spokesman Andrew Cook were not returned. I wonder why. But other Trumpet candidates, this is really interesting, including Gabriel Pennicott, a devoted Christian, family man and community leader, and former con man who was extradited from Canada in 2011 and spent 3 years in jail. The Gold Coast businessman is also discharged bankrupt and banned from practising in the financial services industry by the Australian Financial Securities Association. In South Australia, Mark Aldridge, who we do know in South Australia because he always stands for elections, often as an independent, resigned from the party on Tuesday over his spam text messages, but had been recruited despite being banned from holding a firearm in 2017 for threatening to shoot Hoon drivers. In Victoria, Milton Wild is a former bankrupt who has since staved off 2 further attempts to bankrupt him. Even party leader Suan Marine Wrightson has been guilty of mid-range drink driving, though no conviction was recorded. Alan Tarusta, a Woiwoi pastor and IT specialist, has been convicted of 9 driving offences and so on. And, you know, that's who he is. And he says that my speeding tickets have all been sorted. I haven't killed anyone, so, you know, what does it really matter? He said he was chosen as a candidate after responding to an advertisement by Clive Palmer. Then there is David Serakaya, a convicted fraudster and former bankrupt who the Health Care Complaints Commission warned the public of in 2023 may be providing counselling services despite being the subject of a prohibition order. Terrific. His biography was removed from the Trumpet of Patriots website on Tuesday, and he told the Herald he was not allowed to talk to the media, though no ban appears to have been placed on the social media activity. On Tuesday, he alleged on Facebook that journalists from the Herald and the ABC were part of a joint criminal enterprise and engaged in a media assassination plot. Well, clearly you weren't suited for the job, Buster, but nevertheless, you've been exposed. His allegations followed questions from the media about his bona fides. This masthead's chief investigative reporter, Kate McClelland, queried the vetting process of Trump of Patriots candidates on social media last week, pointing out that he had clearly called her a vile and rotten person who was likely to receive a visit from Azrael, the angel of death. And so it goes on. The point is, for whatever reason, these dudes are the worst of the worst. And one wonders why any particular party, even one nation, wouldn't consider some of these dudes because they're just they have tainted backgrounds, you know. And in politics, you know, if you're going to taint your background, start to do it when you get into politics. Don't do it heaps beforehand. So this is who the Trumpets of Patriot are. That they're trying to emulate Donald Trump as best as they can. And I don't even know whether Trump has people that are as bizarre as these. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But certainly trying to put up these sort of people to stand in seats, 100 of them, and to be funded by Clive Palmer, one has to wonder what his agenda is, what he is planning to accomplish from all of this. It's just beyond me. So, remember to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for further notifications, do what you need to do in order to Get more videos from me. And remember, at the end of the day, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just punch subscribe and share the video. I'd really appreciate that. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.